Tonight we'd like to invite Monique to present to us about Happy New Year, Happy New Life. Monique already presented quite a few lectures to us. They're all available as well on our website and on Facebook. So please, Monique, it's all your space.
And our YouTube channel.
And the YouTube channel. True.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking the time for being here. I know it's a lovely summer evening in Auckland, which we are very lucky to already start enjoying this. And yeah, I've already talked about this topic, but it was 2 years ago, so I'll give a bit of an update, 2018 version. And last time I did it in January, which after I did the lecture, I thought maybe it's a little bit too late. People already have their resolution. So I thought this year I'll do it a bit earlier, a little bit in advance. It's like Christmas, you know, like we go to shopping malls, all the shop is already playing Christmas songs. So Christmas hasn't arrived yet, but we're already talking about New Year's resolution, which is a very interesting topic, I think, for us to analyze and to study. It's a tradition already, isn't it, for all of us? We are human beings. Actually, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So in this human experience, we have a lot of traditions that we acquired, and sometimes we don't even know why we do it. There's another lecture that I did a couple of years ago about Christmas. A lot of these Christmas traditions, where they come from. But this time I decided to talk a little bit about the New Year's. What does it mean in general, and what it means for us as spiritists? We know, as I can point out, if you haven't seen Luca's lecture a few couple of months ago, no, last month. Yeah. The life is short, an explanation about time. Time is just a perception that we have of time. So 1 year in our human life is a very small part of it. But if you can take our spiritual life, it's a blink of an eye, is 1 eye. But sometimes we get so worried about what we're going to do next year and what goals we have. And sometimes we overreach. Sometimes we plan way more than we can handle. And which is normal, which is something that we do, but I think it's important that we take the time to reflect before we commit ourselves to any new challenges in the year ahead. So I thought it would be interesting to start with a picture of, normally Sky Tower on fire, always bright, and also Copacabana in Rio, in Brazil. So the people celebrating, and as we get a lot of people, sometimes a lot of excesses. People want to party and go overboard and celebrating maybe too much in a not a very healthy way. But it's part of I guess it's part of the learning journey that we all have in this planet. So I hope we all have a very nice plans for your New Year's this year. It was an interesting experiment happened in 2012 when Google, they used their application, Google Maps, to get people's ideas what their New Year's resolution was. It was 6 years ago, but I think it's still quite relevant. It's not that long ago, and I think it's still a lot of them. It's similar to what we might find these days. So people all over the world put their resolution, and it will show up where it was, and a few people had few options. I just made it clear here. So love was red, health was kind of orange, yellow-orange, career was blue, finance green, the dollar, the money, family kind of purple, education light blue, and others. So it's quite interesting. You could see I couldn't pick it up again to show it here, but you would click on it, and then so like somebody here somewhere in Asia, probably in Thailand. Peace is much needed for this world. So that was somebody's resolution for this. But we can see there's a lot of red, right? There's a lot of red. Not only the laser, but also there's some red dots. There's a lot of blue dots, career. So we wanted to think, love. Is this people wishing to have more altruistic, selfless love towards mankind? Or is it people looking for a love relationship with someone? We don't know really, but sometimes we think that's what people wish for. Oh, next year I want to have a girlfriend or a boyfriend or a husband. That could be it as well. Health, of course, is important, and career, finance and family education. So we do have a lot of aspirations for the next year, for the new year. And because we are in the material world, sometimes we get caught up by material things. And sometimes we get, for example, we have even more New Year's resolution that we can find that, dieting, I want to lose some weight, I want to be fit, I want to earn more, but I want to spend less, sometimes work less, make more money, finding someone, like that's another thing, or there are many others New Year's resolutions that we can find, and even including ourselves, which is our plan for our new year, new cycle of 12 months ahead, which is something that is important because change is part of our life. Even from the Greek philosophers, his name was Heraclitus. He said that there is nothing permanent in life except change. So the only thing that is permanent in life is change. And the spirits come to tell us on part 3, chapter 8, that we have not love, but the law of progress. When we are born, when we are created by God, we have the divine laws in our conscience, in the base of our soul, and one of them is progress. That's why when we have this opportunity, we want to be better, we want to become better, we want to find happiness, because this seed is inside all of us. It's something that is innate of us, as we see throughout the third part of the Spirit's book in the divine laws. All of them are part of us. For some people, they have gone through many challenges in this life, in previous lives. This law is more apparent. Different parts of the law is more apparent. We have the law of attraction, which brings us towards near God. Law of adoration. Law of adoration that takes us closer to God, understanding God better. The law of labor, that everything in nature works. And one important of them is the law of progress. Everything in the creation, of God's creation, in the universe, in the nature, progresses. And we are on the top of that chain, and we also search for progress. But the question is, what kind of progress are we looking for? In the same chapter, chapter 8 of part 3, we are presented with these two paradigms. We have the intellectual progress. We have to progress intellectually. We can perceive this in one incarnation. We have, when we are from baby to childhood to teenage years to grown up, we evolve intellectually. But we also see this in our spiritual life as well, as we are created simple and ignorant, but we are given two gifts: intelligence, the potential of intelligence, and also free will. So we can make our own choices and evolve. So this change and this progress is part of us. We do have this inside of us, and we are looking for it. And when we come to the end of a cycle, some of us freak out. The year has gone by. My list is half full, half empty. And sometimes we get guilty about it, and we make even bigger plans for next year. Sometimes getting ourselves even into more trouble. And this actually happens also when we plan our reincarnation. As we know, when we physically die, our body dies, but our soul goes on. We go to an errant state. We go to the spiritual world where we study, we plan, we learn, and then we have opportunity to reincarnate. And most of us have this opportunity to select, to make our, not New Year's resolution, but a new life resolution. We choose according to your merit, according to your conditions, according to your moral elevation. Of course, for some spirits that are still, they don't really know, they are in a childlike state of spiritual evolution. It's like a child cannot choose everything they have. The parent has to choose. The same thing goes for us when we are spirits. But most of us, at some stage, we have had the opportunity to choose. And we choose. And this is explained to us in the Spirit's book, in part 2, chapter 6, talking about the spiritual life. In question 258, Kardec asks the spirits, while in the errant state, or the state between reincarnations, and before a new corporeal existence before a new reincarnation, does a spirit have the awareness and foresight of what will happen to it during a new lifetime? So do we kind of understand what will happen in our new lifetime? The spirit itself chooses the kind of trials it will undergo. So when we are in a more aware state of spirit, we choose. Not your whole life, but you choose the trials that you can go through. Its free will consists in doing so. So we are free to decide what we do. Just like we are free to decide what we're going to do next year. We have the freedom to make a list of things that we need to do and we should do. Even though a lot of people, a lot of us, including myself, we try to think of things, or material things, or things of this planet. As we know, the most important things are not things. The most important things are not things. Our experiences, our feelings, our your moral evolution, your inner change, your inner reform. Yeah? But we choose. And what happens when we reincarnate? We got up there making our documents, our deal, signing our deal. Our next life, I'm going to be spiritist. I'm going to grow. I'm going to be born in a spiritist family. I'm going to be this person. I'm going to be follow Jesus' step. And then we get here, we incarnate. We are given the veil of forgetfulness. We forget. And then we are immersed in material life. And then trials start to appear in our lives. And we make different decisions to when we were more spiritually aware of our needs. And we think that our material needs are more important or more urgent, more essential than our spiritual needs. But God, in His love and His wisdom, He gives us the free will. It's up to you. You can choose. You choose your trials, and sometimes high spirits know, superior spirits know that you are overreaching, but they will let you go through it because it's your decision. You have to go through that to learn that you cannot do it. Just like a child is trying to do, let's try to do a high jump, and you know that it's 3 meters is too high for him, too low for him. You keep telling him, maybe try it a bit less. No, I can do it. You let him do it. So then he knows that he can't jump that high, and maybe he'll bring the bar a little bit closer. The same thing happens to us. We have to go through it to learn. Yeah? So, and we do these things because we want to be happy. Happiness is our goal, ultimate goal. Both in our New Year's resolution, but also in our New Life's resolution. When we try to be better, we're trying to reach perfection, we're trying to find happiness. But we also have to remember that we live in a planet that is very semi-primitive. Our planet is still a planet of trials and expiations. So Jesus has warned us that happiness is not of this world. We will not be fully happy in this planet because happiness doesn't belong here. We might have happy moments here and there, but complete happiness is still a few levels of planetary evolution away from pure happiness. So we have to be content with the happiness that we get here. Yeah, because as it says, on another part of the Spirit's book, in part 4, chapter 1, talking about the future sorrows and happiness. 922, earthly happiness is relative to the position of each person, and what suffices for the happiness of one would be misfortune for another. Is there nevertheless a common standard of happiness for all men? So basically asking, happiness is relative. What makes somebody happy will make somebody else unhappy. So is there a standard of happiness for all men? As we know, in a planet of trials and expiation, we have many different levels of spirit. So for material existence, which a lot of us look for in our New Year's resolution, it is the possession of the necessary. So to have the necessary for the material existence should be enough for you to be happy. The trouble is when we start to confuse our necessary with the superfluous. We think we need something, but in fact we don't really need it. We want it, but we don't really need it. We can't go by without it. And God and the divine laws know it, but we feel that we need it. But now most importantly, which is what we're aiming for the moral life, it is a good conscience. So if you have a good conscience, you should be happy, morally speaking, and faith in the future. So that should be enough, should be the standard for us to be happy. Materially, to have enough to live. Not tomorrow, not in the retirement. It's of course important to plan. I'm not saying that when you live today, forget about things, but to have enough to go by today should be enough to be happy. And the moral life, to have a good conscience, to know that you've done the best you can do today. And to have faith in the future. To have faith that we are children of God and He will provide. Just like He provides for the birds that fly in the sky, as andorinhas, the swift that fly in the sky, He will provide for us as well. We shouldn't worry about it. Have faith in the future. But that's one of the things that we have our timing quite incorrect. Because a lot of the things that we want, when we have in our New Year's resolution, we want by December. We make a list in January and we want to accomplish that by the 31st of December. We have our time, right? Because we have our spreadsheet and we have all our numbers and our calculations, how we get there. And sometimes we forget about the spreadsheet. When it started to come into October, when you start to listen to the Christmas songs in the shopping mall, you start to, oh my gosh, I have all these things to do in my list and I haven't done it. Only a month to go and I try to accomplish everything you didn't do for 10 months. Yeah, because we have our timing. And we forget that that time is also relative. Just like happiness is relative, time is also relative. Just borrowing a slide from Lucas from last month, a little bit about time from the Genesis. Time is only a comparative measure of the inheritance of transitory things. Once again, time is only a comparative measure of the inheritance of transitory things. Just to remind us that everything that goes through is kind of irrelevant to our life as eternal beings. But sometimes we want things now. We want things to happen when we want to. But we need to be open to the possibility that, and the faith that it will come when you are ready for it. Sometimes the thing you want, sometimes the thing you think you need, but you want, you are not quite ready for it. If you have it, you might make misuse of it. You won't appreciate as much as you do if you work a bit harder to get it. So we have our time. You have to remember the time is comparative, is relative. Eternity is susceptible of no measure as regards the duration of time. So for eternity, which is our life as spirits, no beginning nor end, the present only belongs to it. So the only time we really have is now. We don't have the past and we don't have the future. We're going to touch a little bit more onto this, but just to keep us in mind that we might have our schedules and our deadlines, but they are also relative because they won't represent our happiness and they will not be representative of the time that we really need to. So it's something to think about and to consider when we are making this our New Year's resolution or new life resolution. Because for this new life to happen, it's not just by wishing and doing the same things that we always do, we will not achieve new things. In order to get new results, you need to do new strategies, new systems, new ways of achieving things. There's no point of view, oh, I want to achieve this, but you don't change. That won't happen. It's like Albert Einstein said, it's lunacy, it's crazy to think like that. To achieve new things, you need to do new things. You can't be the same person and expect to get the same, the new rewards for what you're doing. But we are lucky, as human beings, we are lucky. Because a lot of people, when they fail, say, oh, I'm only human, like that song, I'm only human, after all. But once again, we are not only human. We are spiritual. We are spirits. We are spiritual beings that have a human experience. So we're not just only human. And as humans, as we spiritually reach this level of the creation, we were given two things. Or actually, we're given many things, but two things that distinguish us amongst many, they distinguish us from the animal kingdom. And those two gifts are intelligence and will. Out of the two, which one do you think is more sought after? The one that people want more, intelligence or will?
Maybe intelligence.
Intelligence, yeah. We all want to be intelligent. We all want to be smart. We all want to have smartphones. We want our kids to be smart. We want our kids, everything is as smart as intelligence, yeah? Which is important. Intelligence is important. Intelligence is an ability that we were all given, and we can all develop. And as we know, the intelligence that we have developed in this world, in this life, in this planet, in this reincarnation, will go through, will spill to the next one. So it's something that we'll always be increasing on. But intelligence is also part of the journey. Because you can be as intelligent as you are, or as anyone is, but be underachieving. Because intelligence is just a lighthouse, it's just shining away. Shows you the path. It does not make you walk. You can have all this intelligence in your mind, but and you can see the world, the path clearly, how to do it, but you don't get there just by being intelligent, just by thinking about it, just by making all the spreadsheets from the January and then leave it behind. It only indicates the way and gives us the ability to discern and distinguish between good and evil, and between what we should and we should not do, which is also part of our conscience. Intelligence and conscience. Intelligence is like a development of our conscience. The more we go through our experiences, the more we develop a sense of what we can do, what we shouldn't do. And our freedom comes from it as well. Because when, for example, once again, I'm talking a lot about a child, tell a child that he shouldn't touch the oven because it's hot. But a child goes there and touch it and it burns a finger. So next time you tell the child, he will remember. Hopefully, he will remember. You won't do a Homer Simpson, ow, ow, ow. He will remember, he won't touch it again because now he has gone through that, and the intelligence is telling that person or that child that it's not good to do that. I'm using that because it's very simple, but we go through that all the time. And friend, don't get too close to that person. No, don't go to that place. Don't do things that they're doing because they're not. But you go there and do the things, start to be part of that social club or whatever, and you go through a different path, even though you know that you shouldn't have. But once again, sometimes we have to go through these experiences to know ourselves. So everything is valid, but once again, intelligence is only one part of it. What makes the difference is our will, which is just like intelligence, is something that is given to us, but we also need to develop. To be more intelligent, you have to study, you have to dedicate your life to develop your intelligence. But you also have to dedicate your life to work on your will, sua vontade. You don't want to have the will to change the world in a year or a day, but you have the will to do something small every day. And that something small will become bigger and bigger. So it's something that that has to be a starting point. And we all have that. Because when we really want something, our will is strong. If you really want to get that job, you do everything you can to get the job. Right? When you want, I'm just trying to find new examples, but whenever there's a prize for you to win, and you want it, your will goes towards it. And this will, it's something that God gives to us as a tool, as a gift, but also as a responsibility. Because then the responsibility of our decisions and the consequence of our decisions is up to us. And this will is going to be very important to determine if you're going to follow those New Year's resolution or New Life resolution or not. So we have to also work on that will that is a gift to us, is a tool that we have. On question 845 in the Spirit's Book, Part 3, Chapter 10, this shows how the will is very important. Are the instinctive predispositions that individuals bring at birth an obstacle to the exercise of their free will? Basically asking, the inclinations that we all carry from previous lives, won't they make us difficult to act on our free will? Are we going to be able to overcome our instinctive predispositions, which is nothing more than habits that we acquire from previous life that keep reoccurring in our life because we need to overcome them. A difficulty that we have in our life that we keep finding them, keep bumping into them, keep, oh my gosh, I always work with somebody that does this to me. Always, my bad luck, always I find someone that I cannot get along with, or somebody that is bossy or something. That it's something that I have to work with.
Karma.
Karma. Take it easy. The instinctive predispositions arise from those of the Spirit before its incarnation. So it's already there. The instinctive predispositions are already there, so they arise. Depending on how much the Spirit has evolved, these predispositions can incite the individual to reprehensible acts in which he or she will be aided by spirits who sympathize with such dispositions. So depending on how much we evolve, including in this life, we're going to be aided, we're going to be helped by spirits to overcome these challenges. If we want to hear them, because sometimes they're trying to help us, but we are too busy looking for love or money or finance or all our New Year's resolution, right? However, there is no irresistible incitement if the individual has the will to resist. Remember, I love this sentence, where there is a will, there is a way. No matter how hard things are in our life, if there is a will, there is a way. And we're going to show them towards the end, briefly, a life of a spiritist worker, that he wanted to do something, few things. In the short time he had in this life, he did, because he wanted to. He had the will. So if there's a will for somebody like him, there is a way for all of us to do whatever we want. Towards the things that we need, not the things that we want. Right? So these two gifts that we are given, they are very important if we know how to use them. And if we use them wisely, and if we know ourselves, which is another great instruction, great advice that we're given, to know ourselves, to know who we really are. Do we really need to be involved in what the material world is telling us, the society is telling us? That we need a new phone every year, that we need the latest car? Do we really need all those things? Is it really who we are? Are we going to be that unhappy if we're not living in such area of the town? Yeah, so we need to know who we are. And once again, doing the daily self-questioning, but self-evaluation. At the end of the day, do as I did. At the end of the day, revisit your actions. Could I have done something better than I did yesterday? Have I done something towards someone that may have hurt somebody? Those are two things that we have. But one of those two other things that we have is also intelligence and will. These are just tools so we can improve on this intelligence and will. We are intelligent and free beings. Once again, God gave us the free will. We have the power to choose. We can choose. To go left or to go right. To do right or to do wrong. We have the power to say yes or no. Sometimes by peer pressure that we haven't overcome from our school years, by a lot of people saying, oh yes, come on, you should do it. Come on, let's do it. And we give in and we do it. Even though we know that we shouldn't do these things. Just to impress someone or impress a group of people that we want to belong to. So we have to, once again, know who we really are. But in the end, we are free. We can choose. And just as we are free to choose, we are responsible for the consequences that happen. Because I'm sure that Ben Parker was a spiritist as well. Ben Parker is Spider-Man's uncle. Because they say, with great power comes great responsibility. Yes. So once again, I'm reading the Ben Parker's. I'll be talking about other movies soon, so don't worry about it. If you didn't laugh this time, you can laugh sometime later. With great power comes great responsibility. Okay. So we have this power of choice. We can choose. So this is where our freedom comes from. We are free by our will. Sometimes we blame on other things. We blame on the condition, we blame on our bossy colleague, or we blame on the weather, we blame on anything. But in fact, we are free to choose in our will. And this freedom is an attribute of our will. Once again, that example of the child. The child is free to touch or not the hot oven, the hot stove. But once again, if we put ourselves in a position, we can choose whether to do something right or something wrong, something that we know is going to be harmful to somebody else or even to ourselves, or not. And they're both working together, intelligence and will. And the thing is that, once again, talking about time and freedom and intelligence and will, this freedom, once again, comes from our intelligence and our will, because the more intelligence we have and more willpower we have, the more freedom we have in our lives. Because we know that whatever we do, there will be a consequence to it as well. That becomes a huge freedom, because then you know that if you do something right, there will be a reward later. Maybe not right now, maybe not at the end of the year, after the New Year's resolution, but maybe in a different year or a different way that you didn't expect to come. But when are we really free? We have this freedom in our life, because freedom is also part of our divine law that is within us. We have this free will in all of us have it. But when are we really free? According to the research by Professor Luis Marins, he's a he's an anthropologist actually, but a lot of his lectures are towards development, self-development, and empresarial, like business development as well. According to some of these research, most of us live, only 5% of our time we live in the present. Only 5% of our time we live in our present. When we're doing something, how many times have you caught yourself making dinner, but actually you're not thinking about how much salt you put in, or you know by instinct how much salt you put in. You're actually thinking about something that happened or something that is happening tomorrow. It happens to us all the time in traffic, especially if you do the same route every day. You know that most accidents happen about 2 kilometers radius of where the person lives, because the brain switches off. Because the person is not living in the present. I have to turn left, the brain goes automatically, and you're not thinking about it, you're not actually paying attention. You are in autopilot. Because you're not living in the present. You are either in the past, most likely, because 70% of our time we spend in the past. Or the future. 25% of the time we are, of course this is very general. Sometimes people live even less time in the present. Some people live more, but in general, we don't live in the present. We're stuck. We are stuck. Are we freeing the past? Can we do anything about the past? It's gone. Too late to think about it right now. Right? You can refer back to the past because you need that referral, that experience in order to make decisions in the future, but you don't have to live in it. Yeah? And about the future, is there anything for us in the future? Worry about too much about the future? No, we can plan for the future, but the best way to guarantee the future is working today. Because whatever you do today, you're going to sow tomorrow. Citing another movie, Kung Fu Panda. Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. That is why today, and today is a gift. That's why we call today present. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is a mystery. Today is a gift. It's called present. So let's live today. Let's forget about the past. Let's refer the past, but leave the past where it belongs, and let's move forward by working today, not worrying about tomorrow. Yeah? Because past and future, I cannot change my past. So I'm not freeing my past. We're stuck. The future could be a second ahead, 1 hour, 20 years, 12 months. Yeah? It's not mine yet. It's not here yet. So there's no really point of worrying about it too much right now. We can work towards it, have a vision, have a plan, and then work towards this plan today so we can achieve that. So that comes to our gift, the present. We are just free and intelligent in this moment. Right now is where I can use my intelligence. Right now is where I can use my free will to change, to do something. I want to be fitter next year. Personally, I want to be fitter next year. So I have to use that intelligence, that will, when I'm in the beginning of autumn in the Auckland weather and it's raining outside, and I had planned yesterday to go for a run this morning. Am I going to get up of that bed? Am I going to be putting my running shoes and am I going to go for that run? Why not? I have to. Yeah? If I want to be fitter tomorrow, I have to do it today. I can't wait for the sun to be shining. I have to have the will. I have to use my intelligence and my will now. I can't wait until Monday. Because something else might come up on Monday. See? So that's the things that you put it on your scales. Talk about fit and weight, put it in the scales. So the secret, or something from Buddha as well, the secret of health for both mind and body, once again, think about body and mind, material and spiritual, is not to mourn for the past, worry about the future, or anticipate troubles. Because that's what we do. I love that word in Portuguese. Nós somos preocupados. Preoccupied. We occupy ourselves before the time. We get busy before we need to. We get preoccupied. Yeah? Because we anticipate troubles that sometimes not even there. But to live in the present moment wisely and earnestly. Yeah? So the secret of health for both mind and body. If you want to start worrying too much about the future, you're going to get stressed. And you know what? We all know what stress does to our mind and to our body. There's no point of worrying about too much about the future. Or to mourn for the past. So, after all, what is intelligence for? Intelligence can also help us to distinguish between essential, important, and incidental or accidental. The essential is what I do right away now. It's essential. I have to do it. It's right away now. Important is what you should do after the essential is done. And then the incidental, accidental is after both the essential and the important is done. This is the last text message or Facebook thing that you are working and then you get a message, bling! You go look at it and try to reply straight away. That's accidental. You shouldn't worry about that. That can wait. The essential and the important come first. And also put the jar, just to remind me of this little lecture that happened in a university I believe it was in the US, I'm not too sure, but I'm sure it happened in many places. So let's say it was the US. And this expert was talking to a group of students, and he gave us an experiment. He brought a jar, like a really big jar, like a 3-liter jar, with a small kind of mouth opening, and he got some rocks, some big rocks, and he put the rocks inside the jar, and he said, okay class, so can you tell me, is this jar full? And then people say, nah, it's not even half full. Okay, so then he got a lot of pebbles, pebbles, put the pebbles inside, and fill pretty close to the brim. Okay, so how about now, is it full? Yeah, it's pretty full now. And then he got a smaller bucket with sand. Spread the sand on top of the jar, and all the empty spaces fill up. What about now? Maybe not. And then he got some water and poured the water on top. And then, is the jar full now? Well, yeah, it's pretty full. Okay, so what's the moral of the story? If you can always fit some more into something that is already full. So no, actually, that's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story, if you don't put the rocks first, you won't have space for the other stuff. So the essential stuff is your rocks, your family, right? Your family, your moral life, your health. These are the rocks that you should put in your jar first. And then you put the gravel, not the gravel, the pebbles. These are the important stuff. So if you put things into perspective, the most important things at the first in your life, you will have time for the accidental stuff. When it suits you, when is the right time. So this is another step for us to work towards our New Year's resolution and towards our new life resolution. Because we can't have a new year without having a new life. We need to change our life to achieve our new goals. By using our intelligence, by using our free will, but wisely, by living in the present, and by prioritizing the most important things in our life. Not this life as money, as us incarnated here, but as eternal beings, eternal spirits. What is the most important thing in my life that I will take with me when I disincarnate? These are the rocks of your jar. Because when you do that, you are, and with your will, you can achieve incredible things for yourself, but most important for all around you. For a better family, for a better society, for a better country, for a better world, for all of us evolving together. Because it's not just about us evolving, but us being part of a bigger evolution of this planet, going from this stage that we are at the moment, trials and expiation, to a regenerative stage, which you're all part of. Yeah? Because when you do that, you can achieve many things. Has anybody here heard of Geronimo Mendonca? O gigante deitado, the lying down giant. He was the same era of Chico Xavier. He was born in 53. He disincarnated in 39 and disincarnated in 89. So he lived on for 50 years. He became a spiritist when he was about 19 years old. He started to play football. He was diagnosed with, in English, it's called rheumatoid arthritis, which paralyzed his body. He couldn't move. Yeah. He was in bed for most of his adult life. But even then, he managed to write 4 spiritist books, and he founded, I think it was 4 or 5 spiritist centers where he was from. He's from Ituiutaba, in Minas Gerais. Alright, so when there is a will, there is a way. Paralyzed in bed, o gigante deitado, he managed to do all that for many people. And he said, time is always the same. Once again, coming back to time, our friend or enemy, depending how we use it. Time is always the same. It renews all things irreversibly. So it knows nothing old and does not let anything grow old. because everything is subject to its transforming action. So with time, everything transforms, including ourselves. Because to reach new goals, we need to transform. Otherwise, we're going to be getting the same old things that we get every year, every day. In this prodigious chemistry, worlds and beings are renewed in nature, in time. Worlds are renewed, worlds are created, planets are created, planets die. In nature, things are evolved. From a caterpillar to a butterfly, we see this renewal all the time. Therefore, past and future are in its eternal present, and we go through it. And it's not time that goes by, because we have this very childish idea that we possess time. Oh, I don't have time. Never have time. Time is not something that we possess, because we go through time. Time is the same. We are going through time. It is not time that goes by. You guys grasp this idea? That we are going through time? Time is there. But we are going through. We are in this journey on this planet, going around the sun. Every New Year's Eve, that's what we celebrate. We're celebrating one orbit around the sun. That's what we're doing. And that's how we measure time. But time is there, it's the same. We are changing. We are going through time. So, that's him there on his bed and doing an interview. Taking a nap. New man and woman, I'm going to be politically correct, is the one who replaces the lower habits for noble qualities of character, and he who abandons the passions and disappointments of yesterday for love, and thereby finding a new perspective in life. So in order to have a new year, we have to become new beings, new men, new women. So we can make all the lists that we want, all resolutions that we want, but if we don't change, it's quite very likely that by next December, when we start to jingle bell, oh my gosh, my resolutions, I have to start doing, because we have to change. Only by change we're going to get new results. So the new man, the woman, is the one who replaces the lower habits for noble qualities of character. And he who abandons the passions and disappointments of yesterday for love, and thereby finding a new perspective in life. That's how we're going to get a happy new year, a happy new life. So, what will 2019 bring us? 365 opportunities. So let's get out of our comfort zone, use our intelligence to choose wisely, use our will to follow, and take one day at a time. Because that's the only way we're going to get a happy new year and a happy new youth. Alright? If you guys have any questions or any comments, because there's something that I was going to talk about, but I thought it was going to be too long. Comfort zone. We are always attached to our comfort zone. We want things, but we don't want to change ourselves. Because we fear the change, and because we have our comfort zone, we have the zone of change, and we have the anxiety zone. That we get anxious if we don't know, if we're stepping into something new, something different, a new job, a new city. Yeah, we might get a bit anxious, but all that will bring new opportunities. Yeah? New paths that we're gonna have to take to learn. So it is important that we get out of our comfort zone. Wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning in the raining in Auckland, put our running shoes on and go for that run. Otherwise, you're not gonna get fitter. You're always gonna be finding excuses. Oh, I ate so much last night. I feel heavy. I can't run today. Oh no, my back's a bit sore. Oh no, it's too sunny. It's too hot. I don't want to run. I'm gonna get too sweaty. We have to get out of our comfort zone because we are easily in our comfort zone, just using our intelligence and our memory to think about the past or worry about the future, not actually doing something right now. So that's something we need to do to get out of our comfort zone and to achieve those goals. And keep that in mind, those tools.
We have intelligence, we have our will, we have our spiritual friends that help us. We talk about that when we go towards our bad inclinations. If we have evolved enough, our spiritual friends are there to help us, to give us courage. Go on, man, put those shoes on, man. Go on, you're gonna feel better, you know. Your endorphins are gonna be kicking in, you're gonna be great. Come on, do it. Oh no, it's too hot. So yes, we have all the tools, but the only thing we need to work is our will, our powerful tool that we have to work towards our betterment. If you have any questions or comments about your personal New Year's resolutions?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's interesting when you said about, we sometimes live in the future when we are in the present still. And that's why the Spirit says that we should, when we wake up in the morning, our first duty is make the prayer to say thanks for the opportunity of one more day. Like you said, 360 days in a new year, but we might not complete them all. So it's important for us to say thanks for every single day, because even though when we wake up on that day, we don't know if we're going to finish the day. So that's why it's important, the new habits, change our lower habits to better ones, and live the present. As Jesus said, that each day is, I don't know how to say in English, but cada day vale o seu mal. Well, how do you say that? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. But talking about futures is something that's interesting, because once again, time is relative. Today's is yesterday's future.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment that we're living now is we are just living now what we sold yesterday. So the moment that we're having now, sometimes a lot of times we complain about it. Why me? Why is it happening to me? And we sometimes put our poor me. But we forget that today we are getting the results of what we did yesterday. Just like we're going to get the results that tomorrow, what we're doing right now. So we're thinking about the past, and that's why a lot of people spend time in the past, because they're regretting, oh, if I had done that, I would have been in this position today. But you have to use that as a tool to move forward, not to get stuck there, and to be living on that feeling of guilt and repentance, or trying to not moving forward. You get stuck. You're stuck in a moment that you can't move forward.
The other thing is, Dominic is saying, like, as you were giving the lecture and saying about intelligence and will, it was coming to my mind all the message from Chico and from Duval and all the spirits friends that we have regarding discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people say, oh yeah, I will just change this and I will get that in 10 months' time. But it just changed once, and the behavior actually, the rest didn't change.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like saying, if you want to get fit, going for a run one day, it's not going to make you fit. It's the discipline of, how you change your, what you eat, when you eat, and all the exercises that you do, and keeping that routine, keeping that discipline going is what you're going to make you fit.
Mm-hmm.
So it just made me remember how important it is, not only to be smart about it and wanting to do it, but also follow
through, yes.
Keep it as your change.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when the last sentence that you showed that is really, really nice, regarding changing the low habits to something that is actually, worthwhile and will help you to get through.
And I think it's also important to remember that the spirits, they're always there helping us.
Mm-hmm.
When you have like your will, you want to do or to change yourself or something, whatever, and they see that lots of people, or not only you, are going to benefit from your change. They are there, they help us a lot more than we can imagine. Just our will is there, of course, but they're just pushes.
Yeah.
So I found here what I said. It's on Matthew 6:34, which says, "Therefore, don't be anxious for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Each day's own evil is sufficient." So, each day's evil is already sufficient for it. So don't worry about tomorrow. Don't bring the troubles of tomorrow for today.
Yeah, definitely. It's easy to get caught up, but it's important to once again come back to the teachings that we have in the Spirit's codification and the messages that the Superior Spirits bring us, so we can continue working on that faith, that there is a higher plan for us. Even this plan sometimes is our own plan, and we don't remember. Like I said, sometimes we prepare our reincarnation, but we don't remember, and we are sometimes working towards again our own plan for this life. So we have to trust that, that everything that we do, there is a higher plan for our evolution, and sometimes don't worry too much about things that we just want to change straight away and then wish that they happened and not be frustrated when they don't, because change is going to come it's the most important time for us.
And as you said, you used a little bit of what I put there about time, but I have to say thank you for bringing me another perspective of time. So yeah, thank you. It was great.
It was very good. Any other questions or comments? No? Well, just thank you guys and thank the people on Facebook as well on the channel who's watching live. So if you have questions or comments, just put them over there and we will try and reply. And anyone who has questions here, we can always...
And the lecture will be available on our YouTube channel.
Yes.
Subscribe.
Well. Thank you.
Bye.